G'day punters, welcome to Victims of the Punt. We're talking Randwick. We've got the Villiers meeting here, Group 2 racing just in time for Christmas, and of course, being Christmas, they've upped the prize money once more. Mark Shean, Mark Rhoden are here to help me preview the meeting. Mark Shean, looking out the window, there's been a bit of rain around.
Yeah, rain last night. Clear skies at the moment, but there is, as we speak, a band down to the south, which is predicted to hit Sydney later this evening. So we might get some more rain. But question mark there, but we did have a bit of rain last night, which pushed the track into the heavy range. But today's a sunny day, so I think it'll improve to slow if we don't get any more rain.
Okay. Mark Rhoden, with that in mind, Rail True at Randwick, what are you expecting there?
Last time around, the True was Everest Day. The inside was okay for probably the first half of the card or so. On that occasion, we were expecting it to be no good, but it certainly had gone by the later races that day. A big southerly wind, which I used to have in my head was suited on paces, but at both Randwick and on the Kensington track, on paces have been struggling when there's been a strong southerly wind. So with that in mind, I'd certainly be looking for them to be getting down the middle at some stage, particularly later on.
Okay. Watch and act there at Randwick. Let's have a look at this quaddie. So race 7 is the Razor Sharp over 1,200 metres, and 11.11 is favourite as of Friday morning at $4.20. Snap Dance is $4.60. You've got Southern Lad at $5.50, Volpine $6.50, Dream Circle is $8.50, and then Edison at $11. Mark Shean, any thoughts here to start the quaddie?
Yeah, it's an interesting race. I think the track pattern will certainly be very important here. Volpine's won her last two when she's been able to lead on the fence at Rosehill, and then she won at Randwick, won the Winona Girl when she's been hard up against the rail. So if they're getting off the fence and she's left in the middle of the track, she can probably be a little bit vulnerable. So that's probably a disadvantage to leaders, I would think, if the fence is off by this stage. I went for Dream Circle just at the value. I think he ran on quite well when second to Volpine the other day, likes the wet, hasn't drawn quite as well, but I think by that stage of the day they'll be coming down the middle, and I just think at the price he's the way to go. Snap Dance is the big query. She's had 2 trials in the wet but hasn't really been let go, so hard to get a guide on her figure on this day last year. She'd be very hard to beat. 11.11's up in weight and was against a few vulnerable horses the other day, so probably looking against him at the price.
Okay. Mark Rhoden, any thoughts here?
The one I wanted to find when I saw the acceptances was Southern Lad, who actually backed at Rosehill early last time, but it really had no chance the way the track was playing that day. I was just completely penning that run, and back to Randwick, 1,200. I wanted to give him a chance, but he's drawn gate 1, and he's not the only big chance on the day that's drawn gate 1, which might be a bit sticky. I certainly can't back him early because of that reason. I'd need to see them doing something close to the fence. And by race 7, I'm suspecting it's not going to be much good. So I could make a case for him on face value, but I can't back him given those circumstances. Malkovich was probably waiting for something to run it down at Kembla the other day, and 11.11 was it. But I was of the view that 1,000 was probably a bit short of 11.11's best trip. I can certainly see why he's favourite back out to 1,100. And if the track pattern is suiting horses of his type, the ones that are getting home a bit, I think he'll be hard to beat. I don't have him as short as the market against that, but it could set up very well for him. Dream Circle, the one Mark likes, I half found. The only thing I have in my mind is that he did make his run in the best part of the track up the fence at Rosehill. That was the only negative I could find, but certainly on the figures, his late figures, it was a very good run first up. And Snap Dancer, now they scratched her. She's been entered and scratched on wet before, but I think they thought that track was going to be a fair bit wetter than this, so she's certainly in the race as well. Betting-wise, I haven't really got one at this stage. As I said, if the inside's holding up, I might end up on Southern Lad, but I doubt that will be the case.
Okay, let's have a look at the Villiers, the Group 2 over the mile, and it's at capacity. Steely is equal favourite with Ellsberg at $4.80 a piece. Brutality's 9, Kerwin's Lane is 11, Stockman and Bandersnatcher are sitting at that $12 mark, and then Creaderis at 15. Mark Shean, any angle here?
Yeah, I'm pretty keen on Steely here. I know it's a big field, but he's drawn perfectly. He carried 60 kilos the other day and sat outside the lead, admittedly in a slowly run race, but he was left in front of fairway from home. He's got a great record. I think he's won his last 3 on heavy ground. In fact, 3 of his last 4 starts he's won, and a second was the other run. So I think he's in great form. 53, good draw, good wet tracker. So I think he gets a lot of ticks. I thought away from him, I thought Exo Boom was a much better run at Kembla getting back on soft ground and might be worth a spec if you're looking a little bit wider. Stockman's obviously going to be a long way back, good wet tracker, be giving them a massive start. So, but he does love the wet. Ellsberg will make his own luck on speed. Yeah, just don't know 1600 with a little bit more weight than last start. Things were really put on for him at Rosehill. They went slow. Look, he may get away with it, but I thought Steely was a better bet.
Okay, Steely at $4.80 and then Exo Boom at $31 at the moment. Mark Rhoden.
Again, I don't think I've found a bet in this race. I've not been much help so far. I thought Ellsberg on the map was probably the obvious with the stablemates, aren't they? Yes, the stablemate Steely, the improver. And in these handicaps, the improver down in the weight is often a good one to be on. I just can't get anything as short as sub $5. That's why I'm struggling with it. And away from those two, I've got a host of what you'd call half chances. I see Kerwin's Lane's been a pretty big shortener down the bottom off a nice trial. I was half giving him a chance. I got one very big figure on him at Rosehill one day. But there's another half a dozen in the race with that sort of chance as well. Stockman is the wet tracker in the race. It flew home in the festival at Rosehill last time. Sort of similar to Dream Circles. It came through inside. It wasn't circling that day. Yeah, great. Huge field. Handicap. A lot of chances. I might let it go, I think.
Okay. Race 9 on the card. It's a benchmark 88 over the mile. And you've got Lakeen at favourite at $4.60, just in front of Equation at 5. Bluff and Busters 7. Mubaroos is $7.50. Caesar's Palace and Zagalo are 10 each. Almar Haha is 13. Mark Shean.
Well, these two clashed at Kembla. Lakeen drew 14. He comes up with barrier number 4 here, so I'd expect him to race a lot closer. They were pretty negative out of the stalls there. And Equation got shuffled back to second last, end up behind Lakeen, which you wouldn't have expected either of them to be so far back in the run. Look, I've gone for Equation just because I think he's a really good wet tracker, and that last run was a glimpse that he was getting back to better form. Lakeen's had quite a few runs in the winter on heavy, got through it okay, but, I'm not sure that he's totally comfortable in it, but he gets through it. He's obviously the one to beat, but I think Equation's last run certainly gave me the impression that wet ground, 1,600 metres is what he's been looking for, and he gets it. And I think Mubaroos is coming out of a strong race down in class. He was first up in that festival on wet ground, just died and he's run the last little bit out of the middle of the track, and he certainly looks value in the race as well.
Okay. Any thoughts to you, Mark Rhoden?
Yeah, I'm similar. I had those 3 as the main 3 hopes in the race as well, and I've gone in, basically in that order: Equation from Lakeen and then Mubaroos. Actually, I think fairly confident that 1 of 9 or 8 will win it. Lakeen has the SP over Equation, but yeah, I'd really like Equation as a wet tracker. He was, he was disappointing on firmer tracks early in the Preppers' favourite, or when he was hard on the market a few times, but clearly what he's been waiting for is softer ground, and he gets it again tomorrow off a good performance in similar conditions last time. I think at around $5 he's a really solid bet. Lakeen, the danger, and yes, Muba is next best. Bluff and Bluster is in the market as well. Been scratched tonight, I think, and will be running in this race tomorrow. Did have all favours in the last start win, and I think this is a tougher race as well. So I'm going to go around Bluff and Bluster, but Equation for me.
Race 10, the last on the card, is a benchmark 78 over 1,400, and Brooks Spire's favourite at 270. Dynamic Impact is 5. You've got Blesk at 750. Fleetwood Macca at 11. Love Planet's 13, and then Petronius is 15. Mark Shean, what do you think?
Oh, Brooksby does look the one to me. If she's come through that run, she did have a hard run at Rosehill where she set 3 wide, and it's nearly impossible to sit 3 wide at Rosehill, but it was a fence day. She is only lightly framed though, and she has failed second up in the past, so that'd be the only query I'd have with her, just how she presents in the yard. But even though she's drawn barrier number 1 and we're expecting the fence to be probably off by this stage, these shoot races from the 1400 metres, you can take up a position and then sort of angle away. So hoping for a good ride from Nash there from barrier number 1. So I think she's the one to beat. Dynamic Impact is certainly an improver. He's up 3 kilos from that last run, but he rode him like a good thing. He just stayed out wide all the way. So I think with a softer run in transit, he's certainly a good chance. Blesk is okay in the slow, but he hasn't had a run for 5 weeks. So, yeah, I'd rather be on the 5.
All right, Mark Rhoden, do you have any thoughts here on the favourite?
Yeah, if he'd drawn barrier 6, say, I think it'd be no betting. It would be an absolute certainty. It's just one that's stopping me doing anything early anyway. I'll just have to wait and see. But that was a monstrous run against the pattern last start. I ended up on expat that day thinking it was going to lead, and it did, and got the money. But there's absolutely no doubt that Brooksby was running the race that day. Just wish it had drawn middle or something like that, and then it would be a load the cannons job. But certainly the one they've all got to beat. I could make a case at odds for number 10, Love Planet, who I've pretty much potted at every run it's had in Sydney and opposed. It was short price favourite a couple of times. I was happy to be against it. That said, he's only had 7 starts. He's got a base to go to a new level. He won first up on soft ground last time in, and I thought his trial was okay without being asked to do much. It's the one that might have another level in him, and at double figure odds, I could make a case for him. The others in the market, I don't really want to back to beat Brooksby. Dynamic Impact, I was also one last start. I think Mac was too, but J-Mac off and second favourite, that's not for me. And Blesk is the other chance, but I think the market's assessed him pretty right as well. So, look, I'm going to torture myself. Whatever I do, I suspect I'm going to do the wrong thing. I'll probably have something on Love Planet, but I really want to be on Brooksby, and for the reasons mentioned, I'm having a bit of a dilemma about it.
Okay, you'll be waiting until late then on the card, I'm sure. All right, that brings us to the end. Let's have a look at some of your best bets on the card. Mark Shean?
Yeah, well, tricky with not knowing how the track's going to play. But look, I was on Media Starguest the other day. He was jumping from 14 to 18, and that might have just been a bit too much. I think in race number 2, he's taken the claim here with Reece Jones. He maps perfectly, should just land right on the back of the leaders here. And if he's ever going to win a race, it'll be tomorrow. So in the time-honoured midway races, Media Starguest in race 2.
Okay, $3.90 for Media Starguest. Mark Rhoden, your best.
You've been very patient with that one, Mark. You've mentioned it about 20 times on this show.
Yeah, well, he'd be crossed out if he doesn't win tomorrow.
I'll make mine away tomorrow. It's the 6-4 favourite in the Christmas Cup, Herman Hesse. I think all his wins are on dry. Just going through some of the comments from the Timeform guide in England, they actually attributed a couple of failures to wet ground, saying some of his relations over there didn't handle it either. I'll have to be around him if he stays in that sort of price range. Probably end up on something like Mighty Beale. But yeah, certainly around Herman Hesse.
Okay, that's in race 4 there, the Christmas Cup. Herman Hesse is currently $2.40. Guys, enjoy the weekend. Go well on the punt, and we'll catch up next week for whatever the meeting is next Saturday.